Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. So wonderful to see you here today. And I'm continuing the topic about the compliments. I would like to go a little bit more into depth and explain you a little bit about Slavic mentality about this, and specifically, Ukrainian and Russian women. The history of compliments for us, and let's also talk about compliments as a form of appreciation in relationships. There are different forms of appreciation, but compliments is definitely one of them. And deeper meaning of a compliment itself is appreciation. So we talked in my previous video, we talked about being appropriate, make sure that the compliment is completely positive, that there is no hidden sarcasm or joke or some double meaning to the compliment. And of course, truly important thing that your compliment is genuine, it comes from the good place, it comes easily, it's the purpose of that is to acknowledge that somebody possibly bringing you joy, somebody is making your day. You would be surprised how many people have no idea of the positive impact they're making on the world daily. I'm talking about, there are teachers that working very hard, every day. Now school year begin, and sometimes when they come to school, talk to with the teacher, or there is a meeting, or you chaperone a volunteer, you realize how much work these people put in daily. And we're not talking today about the financial rewards, but definitely, even if they would be a lot bigger than they are, I still think that people who work that hard deserve so much more appreciation. I love children personally, but I can volunteer for a couple hours. But if I would have to do this all day, every day, it will be emergency room and tubes coming in and out. I don't think, it could be possible to handle this. And so, as in many other professions, people so often taken for granted, and the same thing applies to relationships. A lot of times, we make compliments to something or somebody we saw, somebody we just met. It comes often easier. It's wonderful. It's lighthearted. It has a good intention, but even more important, to make compliments to those everyday people in our relationships, in our workspace, friendships, any social circles. A lot of times we start in taking people for granted. Talking a little bit about the history for us people, immigrants from post USSR. Personally, I grew up mostly in the post USSR environment, and compliments and acknowledgement wasn't necessarily a part of everyday life. For example, husbands would expect their wives to do certain things, to have dinner ready, to have kids made their homework, and such things, as if that's a machine that's just goes, and you just take it for granted. Um, Same as there are ladies in families when there is only one income, what they call in US, when the father is working, and the mortgage bills paid, and everything is taken care of. Sometimes also, as women in nowadays society, women get carried away, and they forget to just say thank you and acknowledge their husband, the father of their children, for bringing the bacon home, for paying the bills automatically, for letting them stay home if that's what they want to do. So I don't want to make it one-sided. I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about the female side, but we'll have another video. We'll talk a little bit about the other side as well, the male perspective. So coming back to the USSR point, the compliments were definitely not something I can recall. It's also considered very rude if you compliment yourself. If you give praise to yourself. It was supposed that you only accept praise from somebody if somebody tells something about you, but you can never tell anything good about yourself. And you also had to be very careful with praising somebody else, because it wasn't that much of a part of a culture. You have to really, really deserve it to be acknowledged or complimented, or especially in official environment, in school, or work space. It was not as popular as here in US. You can run into random people, and they not afraid to do small talk, or to say, oh, that's a nice dress, or you look nice. And sometimes these are very common compliments, but in our environment, we were more told what we are doing wrong. Even when you do your homework, you are told, what you're doing wrong. It's usually the red pen, showing, they taking grade off, or they put minus, or they cross your homework, right? So usually society, at least, in my post-USSR reality, notice what's wrong. And in some form or shape, you learn as you learn not to appreciate and acknowledge what somebody makes right, but you acknowledge, or you make it clear when they do it wrong. And I think one of the issues in major issues in relationships with Slavic women is that some of us were not raised in that environment of that very positive encouragement, and consistent compliments, and adoration. So sometimes we're not taught to do that. We don't know how to do that, and we notice negative things about our husbands, or sons, or daughters. So if you have that issue, you I'm giving you a little bit background on that. So we were not used to be praised a lot, and even in the family, I think I mentioned that before. I don't think my dad told me that I was pretty more than twice in my entire life. And I think the first time he was kind of forced. We were traveling, and some things were taking place, and he just sort of had to acknowledge certain things. And I can guarantee you that I'm not the only one. I know a few Ukrainian or Russian women watching the video. So please tell me if your parents, never or very rarely made you a compliment, or acknowledge you on something, or told us that you were beautiful. It's of course depends on the family, on the warmth, on how the parents were raised, but it's not that uncommon. And some people had told me, uh, and similar children that grew up, without a lot of appreciation, that, we are overcompensating with our children. But I don't really think that you can overdo with doing good. I don't think that you can hurt a child with telling them how valuable they are, how wonderful they are as a person, and compliment also them on a specific thing that they do. I truly believe it builds that inner confidence in children when you acknowledge their strong sides, when you encourage that, and when you notice. The problem with us often, just not just in Ukraine or the US, but all around the world, is that we forget to notice. We truly kind of have this blurry eye, and we only notice when somebody stop doing something, you know. When somebody stop, when your wife will stop, taking care of the home, or when she stop make dinner, or when she, stop dressing up, you'll notice. And so as for us ladies, when you stop paying the bills and you decide you don't want to, work anymore, or whatever that might be, we only notice things. We don't see them as a miracle. We don't appreciate them because they kind of becoming everyday, so to speak. So with this video, I just want to encourage you that every single person needs appreciation. A lot of times we think, oh my gosh, this lady is so beautiful, she probably hears this all the time. She's such a great mother, she's so successful, whatever she's doing, whether she has a career or she's at home or she runs a business or she's just a beautiful woman. We presume that she knows that, and we kind of keep it to ourselves, when you might be the only person that pay attention today. She might have a family that do not appreciate her that much. And same also applies to men. I know, because I talk with a lot of men. I do my private talks, and I learn a lot this way, because people more likely to open when they talk to you one-on-one. A lot of very successful men probably could have saved their marriage if their wives were acknowledging their hard work. So many men are just also want to feel appreciated for these things they do daily, and sometimes they don't get it very often. I guess it probably a mutual thing. It's just what happens, along the way, when we get used to our, everyday people, and we stop, the husband is stop acknowledging how beautiful his wife is, and how, feminine and inspiring and whatever else she's doing. And the wives are taking husbands for granted for, doing everyday hard work that they do. So I think it's a kind of like a mutual process, but I really feel that so many relationships could have been saved if the people would wake up in a very ordinary day and just be very grateful for those things they get from each other, for the fact that they have each other, and also for trying to see those beautiful things in each other that initially they fell in love with. So those components are so vital and important. Unfortunately, sometimes in the immediate family, in the close family, people stop acknowledging that, and stop seeing things. And very often you see a happy person, the person that's officially is doing great in life, but you just never know. You never know what their reality is. So don't be shy to compliment. Make sure it's sincere. If we talk about like light-hearted compliment, you might make somebody's day. Somebody you think that has perfect life might not be that perfect. And then of course, when you are in a relationship, we all have or have been through ups and downs. Remember to specifically look for something positive, as there is no way that you are in a relationship with somebody and they have not a single good thing about them. Then if you are in that situation, then I have a lot of questions to you. There are many questions you should ask yourself. But no matter what you do with your relationship, whether you continue, you improve it, or you decide to live it, no matter what's going on, you cannot go wrong with a positive acknowledgement of things that people have done. And I do want to warn you that unfortunately, in Slavic culture, we were not taught these things. So we basically, a lot of times we are self-taught. how to appreciate, because once again, it's almost it's almost would be too cheesy, when somebody would just start all of a sudden complimenting you. It's as far as I recall, my like childhood and teenage and in and early years, it would feel so strange, but it's not strange. It should be part of the culture. We have enough of negative stuff going on everywhere, so focusing on a positive, helping those positive traits grow, you can pretty much heal the relationship, if you genuinely and truly look for the positive things. And when you do that, the person gets inspired, and the person deep down want to do better. They just it's a natural response. It's a natural response when you recognize somebody for what they've been doing. You really embracing their soul and heart and everything they have inside, and they have enormous desire to just, it's like the beautiful flowers that you put plenty of good water and nutrients and sun, it cannot help but thrive. Sometimes we also divert attention from the negative issues in our relationship. When we almost like multiply that positive trait. I will make a separate video on criticism and how that affects the relationships. But if you get anything from this video, please remember that every single thing you see in your life every day and it's working is a miracle. If you have a kind partner, somebody who is nice to you, not depending on their mood, but just nice and loyal and kind and loving, that's a miracle. If you have a child that is healthy and responsive to you and kind and connected with you, that's a miracle. If your car starts in the morning, that's a miracle too. Soon we're gonna have very cold winter, and I actually talk to my car, believe it or not. And I tell you thank you each time it starts in the morning when it's like uh, below zero or something like that. So you can't go wrong with the energy of appreciation. You can't ever go wrong with positivity coming from you. It's a great healer, and it's a great inoculation against depression, because when you are grateful, when you look for things to be grateful for, when you look for things to appreciate about other people, you can never be depressed, because you refocus on what works, on what's good, and whether the relationship, for example, could be saved or not, you can still continue or live it, but on a positive note, on a note of appreciation for the good things you got and the lessons you've learned. You can never go wrong with genuine, loving vibes that coming out of you toward people. And even if it's not something that you used to do, if you start practicing this, it will become natural and it will change your life. Thank you so very much, and I will see you soon.